Mahan and Mary Mahan, and these two ladies are genealogists. They've been doing a lot of family research in the past of their descendants, and they had discovered that their descendants were involved in an accident back in 1899, November 10th. So, and I tell you what, let's let Sophie tell us, see what she has to say about that particular accident that actually killed Charles and Leona May. So, Wydell. Was it Wydell or?
Wydell.
Wydell. Okay, I said that. I'll get that whole thing
All
wrong.
different spellings
Right.
and pronunciations.
Wydell. Okay. All right. We'll talk to Sophie about her experience with Charles Wydell and May Wydell. It's Leona May on the tombstone, but I think in the newspapers they just say May Wydell.
And May is a middle name that apparently was carried throughout the family because we find it in the genealogy different places.
Really?
And on the back of the stone, they say Little May, sleeping
Right.
in the arms of Short's arms.
So it must have been
So
his
they
nickname.
called her May.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, tell our viewers what happened to these two. So.
Okay, supposedly November 10th, 1899, whether they were visiting relatives, leaving, or whatever, between 10 and 11 a.m., they were attempting to cross the Central Avenue crossing. The train supposedly was traveling too fast. Whether it blew its whistle or not, I don't know.
Okay.
But their horses were spooked, drugged their buggy, excuse me. Baggy buggy.
Right.
But it was a southbound train, so we're assuming that the buggy and the people were strewn along Library Park.
Do you think they were dragged after they were hit?
Oh, no, there's no doubt about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And according to the verdict, they say the train did not blow the whistle, according to witnesses.
Right, that's what the newspaper articles say, yes.
Yeah.
Patrick, do you have any questions that you want to ask Sophie?
Now you said they were leaving family members.
Well, we
We
don't
don't
know
know.
that for
Don't know.
sure.
We've been around to the area of the houses that everybody
we were just
lived
doing
in at the time. Trying to put together the pieces of the puzzle was a little bit difficult to say for sure.
Yeah.
Have you checked the coroner's records?
That we haven't gotten into yet. Whether we can, we're going to attempt it.
There was
Right.
the coroner made a report in the Miamisburg News.
Right.
But as far as if they still have an original record, that's what we're trying
We'll
to find
have to
out.
find out.
Well, it was an assistant coroner that did the investigation.
Right, but
So-
then the coroner from
Yeah.
Dayton,
He came in because he wanted his share of the fees. They got fees to come out to an accident site, probably just like today. So he requested a second inquest because of the money.
And the
That was
Miamisburg
in the
News.
paper.
Yeah,
Right,
it was in the Miamisburg News.
And the research that you've been doing with Miamisburg News is incomplete because of certain records not being available.
They're missing. We couldn't find the obituary for either one of these people.
Okay.
We have found them for their parents and so on, and grandparents, but not for them.
we went
It's
to
missing.
we went to the Dayton Library today. We were going to look in the Dayton Daily News. They do have the
Yeah.
1899 issues. We got there 6 minutes before they closed, so
We didn't have time to look.
So we're going back in the morning to see if we can find the obituary and article about the accident.
Tell the viewers that when you first found this grave and you came up to this graveyard, you saw graves that were covered up, had grown over, and you started clearing them off.
Yeah, she started clearing some off, and we discovered they are also ancestors.
Okay, so you cleaned that off, and then you took a picture of Charles and Leona May's headstone, and
Correct.
and you didn't notice at the time, did you, when you took the picture, like a cloud or like a mist
Right.
Above the top of this gravestone? So
And what time of day
We
was
didn't
that?
see it. About
about
noon.
about noon.
Very hot, bright sun. You couldn't see anything. You could look through the viewfinder, but you didn't see anything on the digital camera till later.
Yeah.
And I took several pictures from the same position and only got one picture with the mist on top of the stone. And that was taken at the time we invited them to meet us at Library Park that night.
Okay, so that was around noon time, and that is unusual to see a mist cloud like that at that time of day.
Yeah.
What do you think, Pat?
That it is unusual, and I think is a very strange phenomenon. At 12 o'clock noon, you're getting ectoplasm in the daytime. Usually we get that at night or in dusk around this time. when it's easily seen, but broad daylight like that, that is unusual.
Okay, so that was around noon. Then you invited the spirit down to the area where the accident occurred.
Right.
And so tell us what happened at that time.
Okay, to begin with, we just took a supper with us, sat on a bench, ate our supper. My cell phone rang, and it was my brother. I have a brother seriously ill, and the other brother was giving me info. When I hung up, I cried a little, and we talked, and she kind of consoled me, and we decided to get on with our walk and forget crying, you know. And we walked around. Did we walk around more than once before this happened?
Yeah, we walked around twice.
Yeah, a couple times. And when we walked down the one side, there was a lot of tables. They were getting ready to set up for their Asian festival. I felt a cold chill, and it was hot. It was muggy. There was no wind, no breeze at all. It was hard to breathe. I just felt a chill from my head to my toes, and I told Mary, I said, something's following me. And she snapped a picture.
I walked out ahead of her.
Yeah, she was walking ahead and kind of turned back. And
Now, excuse me, Mary, did you feel anything at all when she said
No, a couple of times I'd feel a chill, but nothing like she felt.
that?
It would just be so quick.
Did your skin
yeah,
fall
it
or
was just goosebumps all over, and I could feel it on the back of my neck, just like you would if somebody were following you. And I wasn't afraid, but I didn't see anything. Didn't see anything at all. But I also knew that it was going away. I could tell. Everything just disappeared. It was an adrenaline rush like you wouldn't believe. I mean, it was like going over a roller coaster, you know. It was great.
Well, you know, when she said someone's following me and I took that picture, you see all of the
Yeah, it
apparition.
was.
So,
Yeah,
and
it
then
was
she
leaving.
said, it's leaving. I snapped another picture and you can see it leave.
That it just
so
parted.
that sequence of shots where you take a picture of Sophie and she's not surrounded by anything. It's clear. And then the next shot, you can see the ectoplasmic cloud or swirls approaching Sophie, and then the whole cloud actually engulfs her. And that's a pretty amazing shot. Take a look at this shot and see what Sophie experienced with the ectoplasmic cloud. And she did not see it. And Mary, when you took those pictures, did you notice on the camera?
After I
Anytime-
took the picture, I just looked at my screen real quick
Right.
and I seen it.
Very quickly.
And the only thing I thought at the time was, yes. You know, I got real excited. And then she says, what? Because she said I looked so white. And I
Her
said,
eyes got huge.
I don't know. I said, we'll look at it later on the computer. Because I started second guessing myself.
Right.
Am I seeing things? And so many things ran through my mind. I was so excited.
Yeah. But you didn't want to tell Sophie.
I didn't really want to tell her. I didn't know
How I was going to react.
how she'd react, and then I got to thinking, did I see what I thought I seen? Or, you know, am I getting cataracts or what? You know, because it's shocking.
But we've both walked cemeteries before, many cemeteries, hundreds of pictures. Never anything like this, never. And I've been from West Virginia to Missouri doing pictures.
But
No.
then again, this is the first time we've ever stood and invited anybody someplace.
Well, maybe. But look,
maybe we
that
need to
might have been in
start-
jest too, somewhat. I mean, you know, you're having fun. This is our hobby.
We were just having fun. We didn't really think
We
they'd
didn't
follow us.
really think they'd believe us.
Well, they seem to be pretty friendly. I mean, you didn't feel like
I wasn't
threatened at
afraid.
all?
No, we were not.
I was not
threatened.
afraid.
Oh, good.
Oh, good, because it was me, not you.
Yeah.
I know, but I had to be fearful for you.
Right.
Oh, okay. I was
I'm
driving.
confused. You were at Library Park
Yes.
when
Right.
it engulfed you. You left here and you went down to Library Park.
No, we had other things to do during the day. We went to the library and worked on our genealogy and went through old newspaper records.
Yeah. This
About the
incident
accident.
happened around noon. The library park was somewhere around 10 o'clock that night.
9, 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So what we're here today to do is to follow those footsteps, and we'll take some pictures and watch Mary and Sophie take some photographs of the grave, and we'll see what happens. We'll go down to Library Park. We'll go down to Library Park, and we'll convince Terry, our cameraman, that actually there is a ghost down there. Right? Okay, I want our viewers to check this tombstone out. This is it's a gorgeous tombstone. It's shaped like a tree, and this is Leona May's grandfather and Charles's father, who's buried here. He was a Civil War veteran. And look at this tombstone. We got what kind of flowers are these?
It's a pot of calla lilies, and I've added one.
Pot of calla lilies, and there's a pot down here, and if you notice, you got a Civil War gun here, rifle, sorry, and canteen and Bible. So this is an amazing tombstone, and the type of work and the amount of effort that went into this, and it's lasted for 1913, so it's quite a long time. Okay, we're here at the Library Park in Miamisburg, Ohio, and we've been talking to Ken Scarborough about the Carnegie Center here that's built in 1909 and possibly haunted. This was also the site of a cemetery. And Patrick, what did we hear about that?
Simply the place was built here, and they had to move the bodies out to Hillgrove and up to what's the other?
Highland Cemetery.
Highland Cemetery.
Yeah, so we got Hillgrove. They moved the bodies out of here to Hillgrove and to Highland cemeteries. And when they did that, they built this library and had a little park built, and also discovered other bodies. Back in 1967, dug up a body with a gentleman that was sealed in a metal casket, bolted down, sealed, secure. Had a glass window in the front. And what could you see inside that?
See the occupant in there with 1800s dress, ruffled shirt, and I kind of find that suspicious. This guy in a cast iron coffin, bolted shut, with the window there so you can see the occupant in there.
Right, that is unusual.
Yeah.
Well, now he did have his arms crossed and had a Bible, and he had a white beard, and the face was sunken in a bit, so it must have preserved him a little bit.
Yeah.
But what do you think he was thinking when he bought that thing? Like,
I don't know. I don't even know if he bought it. Somebody else should have bought it for him. What was this guy?
Well, he must have had a lot of money.
Somebody did. Somebody had money put him away like that. We are here in Library Park with Nita Pettigrew, and you have a story about a certain lady that shows up here at night.
Yes, at 9 o'clock. She was supposed to be a murder victim. She's in white, and she just roams the Library Park. And it was during the time when this was a cemetery, and when all the graves and everything were moved by 1884. Then they say that she did not show as much, but the town was outraged. The mayor, the tax man, everyone who had anything to do with the city of Miamisburg, they saw her also. And hundreds of people saw her many, many times. And it was exactly, the apparition was at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock at night?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You said she was murdered here in the cemetery?
I'm not sure if she was murdered here, but she was murdered in Miamisburg.
In Miamisburg. Mm-hmm. And this is an unsolved case?
Possibly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I haven't run across anything to make it any different. Okay.
Is there any particular place where she likes to show up?
No, she just roamed.
Just roamed.
Of course, the fountain wasn't there. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of sightings up where the stones are in the front, and some graves, they say, the people may not have been able to be moved into that area.
Okay.
So.
What are those stones up there?
Just markers to tell what is here, and it's the history of the library park.
So you call her the Lady in White?
Yes. Yes. And she was said to be with her hands on her back and sort of leaning forward. I think she was just maybe contemplating as, what happened to me. But I truly believe that there probably is still some bodies that have, that were not able to be moved because of the deterioration.
We're also possible they could have missed some. We did a program in Troy, Ohio,
Yes.
Where the graves were supposedly moved to put a school there.
Yes.
And they recently, just this past summer, they were making an addition to the school, and they dug up some remains of bodies there. So it is possible that there are graves that are just missing.
Yes.
Some unmarked graves that.
Yes. Yes, because all the graves were taken from here to Hillgrove.
Okay.
And have you been in Hillgrove yet?
We just left Hillgrove.
Okay, did you?
Well, we're following Sophie,
Yes.
Gloria,
Yes.
and we're trying to recreate their event where they caught some ectoplasm on
Yes.
pictures.
Yes.
And we're trying to recreate everything. You see Alex is following them around, and they are repeating everything that they've done.
Yes.
And we're trying to see if we can catch it on camera also.
Yes. Well, I think she showed those to you.
Yes, they even gave us
Yes.
some copies.
Oh,
to read the
definitely.
pictures.
There definitely are.
In fact, I'm uploading them to the International Ghost Hunter Society so they can give us an opinion on the pictures also. They're anxious to see them.
Yes. And I believe they tried to do it with smoke, to see if that would
Yeah.
be, and there's no,
Yeah.
no.
Well,
It's exactly what you see. Yes.
like, why don't we go over there and join them now? And
Well, if they don't mind, they might be.
we can kind of hang in the background so we don't disturb them.
Okay.
We're going to go over here with Sophie and May and see how they're progressing with their picture taking over here. Okay, we are standing in the area where the snapshots of the ectoplasm was taken, and you've gone through your summoning ceremony to try to bring them back, and you're taking a few shots.
No, they try to recreate the
Yeah.
series of events that happened before they experienced that phenomenon. And this is the area where this ectoplasmic cloud appeared, and as quickly as it appeared, it disappeared. So, Sophie, did you want to elaborate a little bit on how you felt when that approached you?
Well, like I told you, I felt like someone was following me, and as you can see, the park is big and open. There wasn't anyone behind me. I had cold chills from head to toe. I wasn't afraid, but I had an adrenaline rush. That's all you can say.
And then, Mary, you walked ahead of her and snapped a series of 3 pictures.
Right.
And you could see in that series of pictures the entity approaching and actually embracing Sophie,
Correct.
Right.
and then moving off. So take a look at these pictures of Sophie being embraced by this entity, and we believe it's more than one entity. She embodies. We believe the spirits are of Charles and May Weidel.
Correct.
I got it right.
Oh my.
All right,
Those
Pat.
are 2 possibilities, but it could also be the lady in white, who has also been seen down here.
Correct.
That's true.
But she always showed herself with the naked eye.
Yeah.
9 o'clock
And that's
sharp.
the other thing.
Trust
At
me,
9
I saw
we've been down here at
nothing.
9 o'clock.
Remember, I saw nothing with the naked eye,
Okay.
and Mary didn't see anything through her camera lens. It was when it came up on the digital that she saw it and wouldn't show it to me because she didn't know what my reaction would be.
I was stunned. I mean, I started second guessing myself. I looked at it, I'm like, yes! And
We
I'm like,
stayed up all night.
do I have cataracts? Am I seeing something I didn't?
So when you were excited when you saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so-
And I tried to act just kind of,
Now, what series of events have happened since you discovered that entity? Have you had a lot of interest in?
Oh, yeah.
yeah, a lot of interest. I mean, the kids have asked, and I think I made a lot of believers out of non-believers.
Yeah.
I haven't told too many people except the family. We've just told our family more or less.
So one thing,
It hasn't been on Maury Povich or anything yet.
Oh, good.
one thing you didn't recreate tonight was your emotional state. Now, you had just received some news about a family member, and you were kind of emotional then, right?
Right. Before this, I had talked with a brother. I have a brother that's very ill, and I was a little upset. I cried a little. But then we walked and talked and got in a happier mood. But I might also say that when this left, I could feel it leave. All of the chills and the goosebumps and everything went. It was, the adrenaline rush was gone. And we decided to walk again, and my legs were heavy. For the first 5 or 6 steps, it was hard to walk. And then after that, it was fine.
Well, we are at Library Park in Miamisburg, Ohio. This is part of the Miamisburg Haunted Ohio series that we're bringing to Miamisburg. Miamisburg has a lot of haunted spots, and we're going to take you to each one that we believe has a story, has some spirits of the past, and we'll follow up with Ruby Hare, the psychic. She'll be back in town shortly, and we're going to bring her here and see what she picks up. So thanks for joining us, and Library Park is a beautiful park. Come on down and see if you can experience what Sophie and Mary have.
Blood Raw each week as he presents the best, worst, and wildest horror and science fiction films ever made. It's weird, it's shocking, it's amazing. Join us every Sunday night at 8 p.m. for Lord Blood-Raw's Nerve-Wracking Theater. It's the TV show that asks the question, who needs reality? Then check out Lord Blood-Raw's Nerve-Wracking Theater every Sunday night at 8 p.m. on CATV.
If you enjoy comedy, if you enjoy sketch comedy, if you enjoy sketch comedy created by someone named Andy, if you enjoy sketch comedy created by someone named Andy Dew, then this is the show for you. Probably. It's witty. It's sophisticated. It's urbane. Mr. Do is a genius. But that's not just my opinion, my grandmother agrees. So be sure to tune in, or you'll never see what you might not have seen if you've never seen it before for the first time.
Well, that's a strange thing to say.
The Andy Do Show on CA TV. That's expensive.
Behind me is the Miamisburg News. Supposedly, this place is haunted. According to Kim Moat, the editor, there's at least 2 entities that haunt this place. So they've never seen anybody, but they'll hear different types of noises, knocking or doors closing and opening. You don't have to go to the Haunted Ohio book series to read about different locations being haunted in Ohio. You can just come to Miamisburg, and there's plenty of places here that are haunted. So as we progress through this investigation, you'll see many places in Miamisburg, Ohio that are haunted. We're here with Rick Cox, who works at the Miamisburg News. And Rick, have you ever heard any strange noises or any type of seen anything in the office here? Now, Kim Moat has said that this place is haunted, and whatever the editor says, usually that goes. But have you experienced anything?
Every once in a while, you'll hear a noise or something, and you wonder where it comes from.
A knocking noise, footsteps, door closing.
I've heard doors close, and some knocking noises.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You know what? It's an old building, so it might be just the old building kind of creaking and popping.
Yeah, that's possible. Kim thinks she actually knows who the ghost may be, someone who's worked here before, and it's been brought up in several conversations.
Who does she think haunts that?
It was a former employee that was here before me, and I don't really know his name.
Okay. Well, not a former editor.
Might have been. I don't know.
I know that Mr. Treon used to do a column here on the Miamisburg News. So, all right, Rick, well, we're going to continue our investigation. We appreciate you joining us for this segment of the program.
Welcome. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks. We'll need it.
All right.
Rick Cox, Miamisburg News. Thanks, Rick. So stay tuned for our next location.
It's funny because right here, see that? There's a spirit in there, and if you see this, it's like the eyes looking out of the flowers like eyes. Pretty neat. There are a couple things that I picked up when we were first coming in, and for some reason I felt like money being exchanged, and more
Heavier feeling?
right, a lot heavier feeling, lodge. building is very, very old. I picked up these wood beams, real wood, things almost feeling like a, you know, and I don't know, like I said, sometimes when I get things, I don't know if I'm just being affected by the surroundings, but it kind of feels like a meeting, you know, place where people had met, and the men and stuff were talking and hanging out, but it almost feels as though it has something to do with, like, to me, it seems like money being, the biggest thing I'm seeing is like money being exchanged from one hand to the next. It had been more of a man's meeting place, that men were really the ones that were allowed, or when something was going on. Like somebody had lived here or stayed here at one time. That makes sense. And so my hardest part is that when I come in a place, I'm not just picking up on back then, I'm picking up all the different times together. Yeah. And so I'm trying to separate them. I have a strong smell of leather.
Still getting that up here?
Right, burn smell, and then like I said, it could be having to do with the food down there, and maybe I just keep getting drawn more to that. It's confusing to me in the sense that it's like a smokehouse smell, and it, like I said, it could be just this, and I don't know how much I am connecting to the other. Just saw spirit back in there. They see me sometimes when I see them, and it's kind of like you're spooking them as well, and they got took off like that.
Let me ask you, do you notice spirits around people?
Yes.
You know, you're told that everybody has
A spirit guide.
some kind of a spirit guide. I mean, do you see that just normally?
Sometimes I see people's spirit guide, and then sometimes, like, if you were to come over for a reading and we were to sit down and talk and it was quiet and none of the other stuff was going on around us, your spirit guide would probably tell me something to tell you, or your family member would come and they would tell me something that only you knew. There's no way in the world that I'd have any way of knowing this somewhat secret or this event that had happened in your life. And the reason they do that is so that you know that it's coming from them and not from me.
Here we are. We're now at the Gebhardt Tavern, built in 1811. Patrick, do you think there might be some spirits haunting this place?
Well, you know, I really don't know anything about this place. It doesn't sell beer, so
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know how to kind of spirits.
It used to sell beer. It used to sell beer.
Okay, I started to say I was hoping for some spirits.
That's later. But we're going to go in and have Ruby check this place out real quick and see if she can pick up anything. And here we go.
I've had some contact since we've been in here. think a Don or a Dan with us since we've come in. A Don or a Dan. It's Daniel, that's who it is, it's Daniel. People would come in to various places on the boats, but I keep hearing that some of the places that are here are moved, or some of the things that are in here are moved and brought from somewhere else and put in here to bring things back up to date, but at the same time have it still be from that time period. As far as, and it feels like I keep hearing the phrase something like underneath your feet. It was not necessarily back what we considered back then more a tavern like taverns are today. It was different than that. I got, I see a lot of times when they give me stuff, if I don't hang on to it, I lose it real quick. What was it? I had the name Dan or Daniel. Thought it was Don at first, but I think it's more Dan. I have the name Hole, and I've been getting Hole since I came into town. I kept getting Hole, and I didn't know what Hole means. I guess something, I don't know if they're talking about Valentine's Day, Valentine's Day. We had a Sunday. The
Valentine's was Daniel's birthday.
Oh,
That's
okay.
why I said Valentine's.
I got that other people came here on the boats and stuff. They come over and they'd come in, and it was like a gathering place, and the town would gather here. I felt like this place was older than in town. The circle there, it's older than that. And you know, I just kind of feel like they're some of the first people who first came over here and started this place. And again, I felt like the floors, something was different with the floors down here than the floors upstairs. And I kept getting water damage, which I told you I kept getting water, a lot of stuff about water since I've been here. Different buildings and stuff around here are made different than other ones. My feeling was that because of the feeling that you go from one place to the next, and the way things are put together with the tells, is that they were done by somebody different that wasn't necessarily from this area. You know, like I said, I just have feelings about, you know, the past and what's happened here, and the people that came, and that you could get information, you could eat here, you could sleep here. People came here for conversation, to talk, meetings were held here. It was one of the most important places in the area at the time.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with Ruby at Keith Johnson's home in Miamisburg, Ohio.
Until about 1 or 2 in the morning, just painting room by room. And one evening I was painting, it was about 2 o'clock, and the doorbell rang. So I got off my ladder, walked downstairs. I have 2 doorbells, the front door and the back door, that have distinctive rings. So when the doorbell went off, I went downstairs to open the door. There was nobody there. And what struck me as odd about it was that it had snowed while I was painting, and there were snow drifts on the porch, and there were no footsteps. The things that most people would notice if they came to visit would be you're sitting in a living room perhaps talking, and in the kitchen you'll hear a crashing sound, like some pots and pans have fallen over. You can go into the kitchen and look around, open up cabinets, and nothing is out of place. The previous owner told me they had, what precipitated their movement out of the house was their family began to grow. They were just the 2 of them. They began having kids, and one evening they put their child to bed in their crib. Now this is a newborn. They were, you know, so you're always careful about the first one.
Right, yeah.
Walked into the room, pulled the covers up, you know, tucked everything in. And then when they went to bed, they came back up, and the covers had been neatly folded down in the crib at the foot. And obviously a newborn is not going to fold the covers down. So they looked at what was going on in the house as just friendly, nothing really other than that.
All right, we're here at Keith and Debbie Johnson's home in Miamisburg, Ohio. He's the city planning director, and supposedly he has something that might be haunting this house or a spirit. We'll check that out with Ruby. But Patrick, have you heard anything?
Well, I will say that he was a skeptic before he moved here, but now he is a true believer. So you'll see all of his comments on camera.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, that one spot. Let's walk back there here and check this out. So how we doing in there? Still strong? And they did that for that purpose because that's what
Just the whole house.
their whole house is lit up. Their whole house is lit up. Somebody standing here and looking out the window. Yeah, the energy, being aware of somebody looking out the window here, standing there looking out the window. They look from there. Well, it's here. Now, do we get some visitation in here? Because I kind of feel like going between this wall and this wall here, and they move around about, but there's. I think part of what we're picking up is because they might be because of who lived here or some of the antiques that when you buy antiques, if you don't cleanse them or clear them before you bring them home, you can bring home who lived in them and who slept in them in your house. And in this case, it was a woman. To be more contained upstairs than she is downstairs and more to the and it doesn't seem like a negative energy at all. No. Yeah. You want to walk up first and see if you get anything for her and come up?
Ladies first.
Yeah, let's see, we're probably forcing them up here. This was more of a child's space up here. And you might find out if maybe there was a place here before that burnt and then this place was put on top of it. There might have been when what you were talking about, maybe something before. There may have been another house that sat here at one time that burnt, and then this place was put on top of it. Yeah, it's everywhere. There's a lot of. But I do feel like that there was another structure here before. There may have been a fire.
Well, it could have, because this was built in 1927. There are some structures around here quite a bit older. So the reason it could have been.
Right. I think if you do your research, you're going to find out that there was another place that was here, and maybe the people that were here died here in the fire, and that's part of the energy that's flowing back through. That's what my feeling is with what I'm getting. The only thing is that it was almost like I could smell from where the house had burned before. That was underneath here, like the structure. I could smell fire. I could smell that where something had burned.
Mary Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm. And that one name might be Mary Elizabeth itself.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And Mary Elizabeth.
Right.
Okay, and that's all I got. So, I did tell you about because I had picked up upstairs when I went into the attic that was higher up was where the children more played that were here, and I thought that was their area at first, and I knew that a child had passed, and I first got to thinking, okay, was it that? And then I smelled the fire, and when I smelled the fire, like the burning smell, that was when I believed, from everything that I put together, that this house is on top of another structure. Another building had been here. And that energy has just carried up into here. And it wasn't a negative energy. It was a good energy. It was a good family, good energy, loving, nurturing. There is no negative energy in your house, so you can enjoy the energy that's around you. And so you're not crazy. It's here. It's real.
Just Keith and I were here, and Sherman, our beagle, was laying like right here, facing, this way, and he started growling. Nothing big, but just kind of started growling. We were like, what's growling? Blah, blah, blah. So a few minutes later, I go into the kitchen, and the oven door is completely open. I mean, it's all the way down. It's not loose. It's old. What is that? I mean,
well, the dog sees the spirit. It's aware of. Animals can see what the human eye doesn't see. So if you'll see a cat, there won't be anything around. The cat will have its back up and its tails up in the air, and it's ready, because they get scared, they get spooked. Some of them will not go in a room. They'll completely avoid a room because of the energy. And that person, that spirit, may have gone in there and opened the oven door like a woman would. You'd open up the oven, you'd look in, you'd check the food. You've got a different oven than what they had back then, but it's still an oven, and you're in the cooking kitchen, you cook and stuff. And she didn't close it because maybe the dog scared her. I've been to people's houses before and taken a picture, and there would be flames in my picture, but no flames in their house. And because it was showing that the house had been burned before, and they were afraid it was going to burn again, so they were showing us the flames. And we found out that there was a problem, and we did get it fixed. But usually nothing just happens. There's usually a little kind of a sign back behind what's going on. And see, you're thinking, okay, am I just thinking this, or is this so? Because it's like they're that little voice that you hear on the side that's saying to you, check that oven, check that oven, and that's how they talk to you. And now you know.
Excuse me, one more experience that Keith had when he was taking a nap or resting. Keith, go ahead and tell her what happened.
Well, it was probably 3 o'clock in the morning. Am I telling wrong?
Later than that.
Whatever. It was late or early.
6 in the morning.
Her son has a habit of getting up. He did when we first moved in here. There's a new to him. We didn't tell him any of the stories. He has no clue that you guys are even here. That's why we coordinated when he wasn't here.
Okay. Good.
But he had gotten up. At least I thought he had. And when I turned around, she'd gotten out of bed, and I didn't think anything about it. And a few minutes later, I rolled over, and 2 people walked out the door. And then a few minutes later, she came back, and I went back to sleep. And when I woke back up, I said, well, what's Colin doing up? She said, he's still in bed. There were 2 people that walked out, a child and an adult that walked out of that room. And
He just assumed it was us and it wasn't.
They both have long hair.
Well, you said they kind of had, once you thought about it, you said they kind of had some flowing things on or something.
like they had nightgowns, but they were, it struck me as odd, they were old, like long white nightgowns.
Lacy type of...
And when I thought about it, you don't,
I don't think I wear this to bed.
But in the 1800s,
That's pretty common.
They wore like a long gown, and they usually had long sleeves, or they gathered at the sleeves with a string.
I could tell he was wearing, because he was like, what's calling that? It was on spring break, that's what it was.
And the women would usually wear their hair long in ringlets.
That was another where, and the doorbell rang one night when there was snow all over and there was no footprint on the door type of thing.
Right, that's pretty wild.
That was when we first moved in.
And see, and that's the energy thing, and that's saying somebody's here.
Ah, right when we moved in. We hadn't even moved in, you were painting.
The house was empty, I was painting.
That's what it was.
Somebody's
Wanted us
here.
to know that they were here.
Somebody's here.
Yeah. But you know, we've never felt in a bad, negative way at all.
Right, it's all positive energy. It's really good to come in a house that has good energy as opposed to going to a house that has the negative energy that I go into.
And you can tell, like, as soon as you walk in.
It's a good feeling, yeah.
Patrick, can Sam see that? Just stay right where you are.
We got a good strong read around.
I can feel it. The energy's all over me.
All right, Ghost Hunters have been in Miamisburg. This is part of the Haunted Miamisburg program. Also, Ghost Hunters Plaza. This is Keith Johnson's home. We just been through Ruby here, and definitely have a strong indication of entities being here. Also, they're positive entities. Also, they're positive entities. Patrick, what do you think of?
Well, our meter has been on constant yellow. I thought there was something in the house, but when we come outside, the meter is still on yellow. So I would say that this house is sitting on top. Say that this house is sitting on top of something, because this entire property is sitting in the yellow. Even outdoors, the meter is still registering something in the yellow. So this house is built on top of something.
So it could be an old burial ground, an old cemetery, perhaps?
Well, this is Miamisburg, but we do have Indian mounds back here.
Well, we've just been through, but as you can tell, we've been through many, many locations. The Kircher Home, the Plaza Theater, the Historical Society, Market Square Building, the Gebhardt Tavern. So Ruby's pretty well shot, but you can tell in Miamisburg, it's definitely haunted. And the Plaza Theater being restored like it is, the Ghost Hunters will be on location there, checking that out as the progression of restoration continues. So stay tuned for the next episode of the Ghost Hunters, the Plaza, the Ghost Hunters at the Plaza. Thanks for joining us.
Mr. Apple, who owned that back in the early days, committed suicide in that building.
Oh, really? Mr. Apple committed suicide. Was that in the apartment on the second floor or on the third floor?
I don't know where he hung himself, I understand.
Oh, goodness. So, where could you hang yourself in the basement?
Yeah.
Normally, that's where they go.
Jackson and Apple.
Jackson and Apple.
Lord Blood-Draw's Nerve-Wracking Theater, every Sunday night at 8 p.m. on CATV.
follow-up to that? You know, where are the trials? Where's the UN unit that is chasing down those perpetrators? And there really isn't any sign of that happening at all. So on the one hand, you are having justice being slowly done to the victims of the genocide that targeted mostly members of the minority Tutsi community, but also moderate political.
All right, the ghost hunters and Ruby are at the location of the stream, and we're discussing what is going on at this location. Patrick, the psychic is picking up on a lot of information, and how does she explain the apparitions and how they appeared?
Well, upon learning about the death of his only son, the father becomes angry at the Bellbrook maid, and he chases after her. He catches up with her at the location by the stream where her son also died.
Legend has it that a spirit of an Indian maiden appears at this Bellbrook stream and pursues anyone that comes near to the location where her son died. There has even been sightings near Upper Bellbrook Road of this Indian maiden apparition. Here, psychic Ruby Hare is going into a trance. Ruby is of Native American heritage and picks up quickly on what has transpired at this location well into the early 1800s.
Kitate, also known as Little Otter in English, strayed away from his group of playmates and became lost. For many hours he wanders tired and hungry. He is startled by an animal. He turns suddenly and trips and falls, hitting his head and dies. Later his mother finds him, and now together their spirits are forever roaming this Bellbrook location.
Patrick, this location in Bellbrook was pretty fascinating, but I'll tell you what, there's another location in Amelia, a graveyard that is just children buried there. Let's take our viewers there.
Yes, also let's stop by the house at the end of Dunham Road and pick up some very important footage that we recently discovered in our little archive here.
That included the animals and their reaction to the
our ghost dog Birdie, and our discovering of the baseball size orb that was in the house that somehow we overlooked.
Right. So we had again the orb is with Jim Shout, one of the former owners of Dunham Road, and also at the graveyard we have clairvoyant Eddie Fox.
Yes.
Showing us the graveyard. So we have a lot of interesting locations that will be more elaborated on in different programs, but let's give our viewers a taste of that.
So now let us transition into the house at the end of Dunham Road.
Alex Angel Gamber.
And I'm Patrick Deadman Hughes.
And welcome to the house at the end of Dunham Road. I had the opportunity to interview Mr. Steve Wolford, who occupied this home in the early 1980s. And the Ghost of Margaret Tracy is based on his actual experiences in this home. Now, Steve would not go on camera with us, but I'm going to give you a tour of the house as it looked the very first time that we came here. So you'll hear Steve Wolford's interpretation of his experiences in the home as we take you through the home. Also, we'll be going through the home with Mr. Jim Shout, who occupied the house in the mid-90s, and it was abandoned shortly thereafter. He was not here very long, but his experiences are not quite the same as the Wolfords. He had a lot of bad experiences here. So,
is he the one who actually saw Margaret?
Yes, I believe he is. Okay. Yes. Okay. And Patrick, who else do we have?
Well, we also incorporate the services of Eddie Fox. He is a clairvoyant here in the area. He's well known for his gifts. We are going to do a walkthrough of the house and record his interpretation of the events that took place here.
Also, we'll be going through the house with Miss Ruby Hare, who's a psychic and part of the Ghost Hunters team now. Her interpretation of the house is very, very interesting. A lot of negative energy that she picks up, you'll see. So stay tuned on that note, because she's a great psychic. So you'll enjoy that. Who else do we have?
And some very exciting news. We are actually going to interview the new owners of the house, Mike and Kim Waymeyer. They're going to take us on a tour and show us the work, the remodeling that they have been doing. And also, something very interesting, they found an old photograph dating back to the 1800s of a young girl. So we could have an actual picture of Margaret or Rachel, and hopefully we'll get a hold of that so that we can show it to you.
That's very exciting news, very exciting. We've been here many, many times, and we hope you can enjoy all the people that have been down here and their interpretation of this house. There's a lot going on here, so stay tuned. This is the house at the end of Dunham Road.
Well, I used to cry all the time up in there, and then you go up and there's a little girl, she was wandering through the house.
So you can see the actual little girl?
Yeah, she's about, I guess up to about my chin high, top of her head, about this tall.
Oh, really?
She had like a white nightshirt on. Now back here is where they said she died at.
Okay.
Back here.
Yeah, let me see that.
This is cool. I like this. I'm just stepping where you're stepping.
Could be snakes, could be, yeah. It'd be right in where that dark green weeds is. That was where the old cistern used to be. It was at the top of it.
Yeah, they sort of do it.
I said they're going to take a place in.
Yeah, I see they got a plate over it now. I bet this is a pretty nice place when you had it. Did you write?
Yeah, like when we pulled up in the car, I already picked up some feelings here, and then when I got out, it's just like, okay, but something's directing me up towards between and then two windows right there.
What, these two here, or?
Yeah, these two right here.
Right. That's the new section,
Yeah.
and there has I know there's some sightings been up there on that floor.
The feeling is kind of overwhelming, like kind of cluttering. Yeah.
Like it's more than one.
Well, I wouldn't say more than one, but it's more like just suffocating. That's the best way I can describe it at this moment. Just, yeah, I can definitely feel it. Is there any way we can get in?
Yeah, that's. What did you experience in the Waddle House?
Waddle's house. Here, let's just stop right here for a minute.
Okay.
It's big. I can feel it big time. It's like right it's like this. When you entered through here, see, I just barely fit in there, man. It just hit me like that. It was like a shock.
Really? So, you're more sensitive than I am.
Yeah, there's, it's evil. I pick up a lot of negativity. Lots of negativity, and it's, see, I'm just being overwhelmed with right now. It's hard to pick up on just one thing because this is a combination of just, you know? Yeah, I'm starting to get kind of sick right now. My belly.
Are you hungry?
No, I'm not hungry at all.
Okay.
It's just, that's how I get when that's just what happens.
Okay.
Yeah, we can go now.
Okay. Now you all right?
Yep.
Let's see it disappear in front of me. And, but the,
You're good. Has an alcohol problem.
yeah, drinks too much.
That was weird. I've never had that happen before.
What's that?
You know how you mentioned something going up the stairs?
Right.
It's flashy. I know you can't see it, but I can.
Is it like a small flash, round orbs?
It's not here. Gee. Okay, it's like the last 4 steps up there. You know when you look down the road and you can see the heat rising off of it?
Right.
That's what it looks like right there. It's still there.
I thought I had a flash of that for a minute.
I seen it. Did you pick that up?
I thought just after you said that, I'm not sure, maybe my eyes started playing tricks on me, but I'm not sure now. I thought after you said that I did see something like a steam or something.
Man, I don't like this place. It's gone now.
Okay. Now this is the old section.
I just had a daze hit me again. It's kind of like the feeling you get when you feel like you're gonna pass out.
Really?
Yes.
How about this? This is the attic area. The owner, one of the owners was saying that pots and pans would disappear, and they'd find them up here in the attic. They'd find them, on the stairs. They'd find them all stacked neatly. Lots of holes there.
Yeah. It's just this whole house, honestly. It's just you asked me earlier if I thought that there was more than one here. Well, I picked just one up out there, but now that I'm inside the house, it's amazing.
I think there's more than one then.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just right here, like, since I've been upstairs, I'm picking up at least 7.
7.
See, now I'm having trouble breathing.
Girl in this window here.
Does your chest feel really tight right now?
Tight? No, not really tight.
Mine does.
Does it?
Yeah, but when I walked in here, it's, there's a girl in here. I've got to come out right now. She's probably like 13. She's 13, she's got like blondish hair. She looks like she's got some bug bites or zits on her face or something. And her hair's about shoulder length.
Can you tell what she's wearing?
Looks like a raggedy white dress.
Raggedy white. What is this?
Looks like maybe it's 30. Yeah, 30. And she looks like about 12 or 13. Like right in the middle of this hall, there was something there, but it's gone now. It was kind of black shape. I couldn't tell what it was. here. When I first got down the stairs, and I don't think he wants me to be here right now. Let's just go outside.
Okay.
Is that fine?
We can probably go out this way. I was going to ask you if you did feel anything out here, because I know when I first got here last week, see this on here, this was written out, "Get out."
That was written there?
Yeah. I don't know if maybe the one owner's wife came in and did it while we were outside talking, but see, my name's Alex, and underneath this dust, when you look through a night vision, let me show you here. Let me put this on night vision. Are you all right?
Yeah.
Night shot. That says there's underneath here, if you look through the camera, it says, can you see it says Alex is, or Alex, Alexis, or...
Jesus. Oh, I see that.
Yeah. And that's, so she did that, but no, she really didn't know my name at that time, so. But I thought that's kind of wild. What do you think?
The energy's high, man. That's all I can say.
Okay. I think it'll give you a breather.
Yeah. Usually I can speak very well, but no, I can't. I'm starting to, now I have this humongous migraine.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, this is weird.
You wonder on the spirits when they talk. Do they talk to you, or they just do they tell you what they want or what they're looking for? Or
No,
you just know their presence and see.
Well, I know their presence and I know their emotions. They don't have to say anything to me. They don't have to say nothing.
Was there a lot of anger in there?
Yes.
Okay.
Lots of anger. Very hostile environment.
Really?
This owner after person who stayed here, it's been very hostile. Seemed like there was no peace ever here. Right this second, I'm gonna wait for my migraine to go down.
Okay, yeah.
That's the first time I've ever got a headache from spirits and stuff like that.
Well, let me.
They're in there. There is.
My name is Ruby Hare, and I've been psychic since I was 5 years old, back as far as I can remember. And the home we're in was a Margaret Tracy home, and it was built back in the 1840s. And there are spirits in this home that still exist today who have carried over from that time into this time. There's an old section of the house and a newer section of the home, and the spirits are able to travel from the old side of the home into the new side of the home. And the people who have lived in this home have experienced many unusual things. And so we will be speaking about some of those. What I'd like to show you is some of the large power lines that are out here on the property. And we have a very large power line on this end and power line grids that also run to the other end of the property as well. We also have two wells right here by the immediate area, one on this side and one on the other. I picked up that there was a death in one of the wells, and I believe that to be a woman. And I think that she was in her 20s, but I'm not sure. I've also heard out here on the property at night a lot of horses galloping along, and the noise just came out of nowhere, and it was very loud, and others heard it as well. What I'd like to show you now and point out to you are the various points. If you look at the trees behind me that are leading the way back to the graveyard, it's almost like they're showing you the way. They've cut out the way, and they're leading you back to where they are.
That's just when you're talking.
Okay, this tombstone here says Tracy on it. And this is one of the many tombstones of the families who lived here. And as you can see, over time, things have moved and they've shifted. and old wooden caskets have rotted away, and the ground has sunken in. I believe when this house was first here, it first started out with the downstairs. And I get kids, and I know that we just saw that one thing of the one little girl, but I think that there were more children. And blood. And sometimes they'll run from the older part of the house that holds a lot of the fear into the newer part of the house, because the energy sometimes of the negative, and there's activity all throughout the house and the land, but especially in that hallway.
Package got it.
What do you think? Hey, Bubby, here.
Come back over here.
Here.
Come back over here.
Here. Here. Get up here. Here. Birdie. Here. Get up here. Here. Birdie, there. Get up there. Come on.
That's the
Birdie.
reaction.
Birdie, here. Birdie, come on. Hey. Hey. Here. Tree. Come on. Get up here. Up here. She won't go there.
That's the reaction.
Come here. Come on. Birdie. Here. Come on. You don't want that? Come on. Come on. Come on. Step up here. Come on. Hey. Come on. You don't want it? Talk. Talk. What? Talk. 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 What? Talk. Talk. Did you hear that?
Hear what?
That.
Yeah.
What was that?
What did you hear?
Like a pound on the door? What's in there? What's in there? Go check that out. She just cried. She's crying.
That's a hit. That's a hit.
Come on, buddy. Let us here. Up here. Up here. Talk. Talk. I don't know what to do.
Let's take that to the well out there. See, that was good reaction there. She doesn't like that door at all.
Hey, Bubby.
We came back here. I had left them over here, and she had trouble in having puppies and had died. And then I came over here. I kept Bailey up here in the bedroom upstairs, and we had come back, and I just found him dead.
Oh, dead?
He was just laying inside the door and had just died.
How old was the dog?
He was not even
2 years.
2 years old.
Oh, really?
We got him when we first got here, after we got here. And he was dead. Don't know what happened to him, nothing like that, but he would stand here at the...
Right there.
Yeah, and bark at the steps all the time.
Okay.
So...
The Wolford said his Great Dane used to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to bark at those steps.
I believe it.
So you're in the kitchen. Did you have anything unusual in the kitchen ever happen? Like Wolfert was saying, the water would come on and go off.
We would have, that was a strange thing about the plumbing. We always had trouble with the plumbing. That the water would be on, the spray nozzle would be spraying, and we'd have to come in here and shut the water off. But also,
Doors would suddenly open.
yeah, the doors would open. These doors, we couldn't keep them closed either.
And
We
it
kept,
was underneath the sink, too.
and strange enough is, the thing that's in there, chill bumps here, the bar we kept right here in front of this.
Okay.
And the doors would come open, and that's where we kept our pots and pans, were in the back of there. And then they would disappear. And found them one time at the top of the steps, the other time in the bathroom, and then they were in there.
Always stacked neatly.
Stacked? Okay, I was going to ask that. Good.
And then they were in the attic, and then we were constantly buying utensils. I mean, there were spatulas missing and things like that.
Silverware.
It was, we'd find stuff in the strangest places.
Maybe the ghosts like to cook.
I don't know what they did. Well, that sounds like something a kid would do.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
But it was, I mean, there was always constantly some kind of uproar, some kind of thing going on, whether it was she'd be awake and hearing something, and I'd have to come down here and go back there and look. Finally started keeping a loaded gun, and then I would have my dreams going on and hearing things next door. Finally put a door up in front of the doorway up in the master bedroom, and after my daughter had come out of there with what had happened with her, so.
Well, let's go upstairs then. And we'll...
By the way, she
Yeah.
might stop by for
Oh,
a
really?
minute.
Yeah, she said she might stop by.
Okay.
Was it first or?
Yeah. Anything ever happened in the bathroom? No?
Not to me.
Okay. I think Steve was saying her daughter was taking a shower and the door started rattling.
I never had anything like that happen in the bathroom. Did you?
No, other than it was always cold in there,
Really? Yeah.
behind the towels.
Okay. So this is part of the new section here.
Yeah. The new section, well, you can see through here where the old part of the house was with the clapboard there and all of that.
So this was considered this wasn't the master bedroom, or was it your master bedroom?
Well, this is where we ended up.
Okay.
Because when we had originally set up over here, I can't remember anything happening over there.
Just not being able to sleep.
Well, it was when we moved over here that she started staying downstairs.
Well, she's...
But we would, like I said, we had our daughter over there. We were going to use this for storage here in this room. And had set her up over there. She was going to use all this as an apartment.
Right.
You know, young teenager. We were going to give her, make her feel special and let her stay over there. Well, so she sets up over there, and the very first night is when she comes screaming back over here, and I'm not staying over there anymore. And
that was the first night that she stayed in there?
The first night she stayed there. Okay. And
She was staying, put her bed on the very far wall over there.
That's with a small room? Yeah.
Because she wanted to make this into like a little living room for herself.
Okay.
She was going to put like couches and...
Well, let's go over there. You can show me where she wanted to do that. So now we're in the old section.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, she was set up over here.
Okay.
And her bed was against the wall up over there.
Okay.
And the way she tells it is that she was laying here about 2 o'clock in the morning, and she woke up and heard a noise, and then she said she saw the gentleman. She said they were dressed in like 1800s clothes, and she got the impression that they were married because of the way he was carrying the woman, and that he carried her up the steps, and then they went into that room, and that's when she went nuts. That's when she bolted.
So they came up these stairs. Must have been pretty thin coming up those stairs carrying somebody.
That's what I thought.
You know, pretty small. Because that's not too wide. Well, people back then weren't very big anyway.
Yeah. But the only other dream I've had, I have had a dream of a little girl, and I was standing in this window in the dream. A little girl and a man and a woman out here with a fence. And there is a fence line over there with roses that grow up over there once a year.
Along a large group of roses?
Yeah, where that row of trees goes straight across there.
Okay.
But then, like I said, I've never had any problem with this or with that room, except, like I said, it got to the point with noises and stuff, and I just put up a door in front of that doorway, and when I would sleep upstairs.
Okay.
And after we moved from the other bedroom over there and moved over here, is when the other stuff started happening.
Well, let me get the shot. Now this is the attic. This is where some of your
Pots and pans came up, yeah.
Right. Okay.
And we stored a lot of stuff in there, and it was really funny because we never came over here to check on it. And then one day I came over and was going to look for something, and everything in there had been gone through.
Oh, really?
Yeah, all the bags were torn open. We packed most of it because it was clothing and old dolls and stuff, and trash bags.
Trash bags too. Just everything torn open.
And it was all messy, strewn everywhere.
Like somebody was trying to find something. All right.
Like I said, when we moved over here, was when I started having the dreams and the bed pushing. And it's strange because as I'm going through all this, I'm remembering other little things that had happened. But I do remember it was either in the dream or I was awake, but there was somebody standing right about there when I had woke up one time.
A man, woman?
I couldn't tell. I thought it was a boy, but I wasn't seeing it very well. It was just a young child, so I don't know. But
when you woke up and saw the person standing there, what did you do?
I went back to sleep. It was strange. I wasn't afraid. I thought, I'm just dreaming this, so I'm going back to sleep now. And that was early on. But then with the bed pushing and things like that, I mean, that is just one of the strangest things. We would constantly hear something up here too. I mean,
Also in the ceiling in the living room.
yeah, it was like somebody running back and forth, and it was too big to be raccoons or anything like that. But it was literally.
Yeah. So.
I mean that rhythm. It was just. Run back from over here over to there, and I'd come upstairs. There'd be nothing. You know, we'd find nothing.
Right. Now you mentioned this spot on the ceiling. It gets smaller and it gets.
Well, this used to be bigger. I mean, this spot here used to come way out to here, and
We even painted it a couple times.
Oh, really?
I mean, this thing has been. I don't know what the deal is with it. But I don't know what it would be. I mean, I have no clue. But it's always been there in that spot.
Like a mold or?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what it is. But it's been bigger at times. This is the smallest I've ever seen it. And sometimes you'd see a spot somewhere else in the ceiling, but I mean, we never had any problem with animals or anything like that. But for this to be here, it was there the whole time. It's still here. So I was kind of amazed to see it still here when we came up.
Yeah, I was right. Ghostbusters being slimed. That's all I knew.
And I was walking up this back laying from back there and looked up in the window, and that's when I saw the little girl in this window.
In this window? Was she looking out or looking at you or
She was
looking?
just looking out,
Was she smiling, waving, just standing there?
just standing there.
That's kind of wild, isn't it? But did she emit like a white aura around her, or?
Nope, and it was during the day too.
Oh, really?
She just looks real.
Oh, really?
Looks like somebody really just
Standing there.
So Janet said,
But she can't have been standing because she's just a little girl.
Right.
So she had, because she came up to about here.
Okay. It'd be standing on something then, or just levitating, I guess.
that's what Mark's wife too said. That's one of the reasons they wanted out of here so badly. They were tenants of my mom's when we owned all this. They wanted out of there so badly because this house was here and she had to pass it every night when she came home. And it scared her to death all the time, and she'd seen the little girl a couple of times, and she still said that she won't talk about it to this day.
But you ever think about stopping and trying to make contact with the girl, just stop and yell, or did you? No?
Let me tell you, today, this morning, I came here, I went up to Bethel this morning, I was with my niece up to work, and this morning is the first time that I've driven back here in a year and a half. Because I just, I don't...
And that was the time was only because I made him, because I had heard a rumor that this place had burned down.
Yeah, we heard it burnt down.
Oh, really?
And that's why we'd come back, and so...
I was out driving myself at night, and I tried to come back here, and I got as far as that there outside, and something just stopped me. I couldn't come any further. I just backed into the next door neighbor's driveway, almost into the ditch, and turned around.
Just get like just a scary feeling. Yeah. Well, I guess you would be scared if how many experiences that you had.
None of our friends would ever come visit us. The whole time we were here, nobody would come. The family came once. My mom will never come over here. She came here one time. She walked in the door. She looked around and she said, "Very nice." And she owned the house and was renting it out to people before us, and then renting it to us.
And before that, when she had to talk to someone who lived here, she would stand out in the driveway and talk to them.
Well,
This is Mike Wilmeyer and his wife Kim. She's right over here. They're the new owners of the house at the end of Dunham Road. And Mike, have you experienced any type of paranormal activity since you've been working on the house? Nothing at all. Okay, so you've been told a lot of stories, I'm sure. A lot. So it doesn't bother you that the house might be haunted, or you might experience some paranormal activity in the future? All right, well, we're going to take a tour, I guess, and you've done a great job here, I tell you. Those ghosts are happy. Now, I will tell you this, that this area with the staircases is one of the most haunted areas in the house that the animals seem to pick up on more so than the people. That's what I've been told. So. But, okay, we'll go on a tour.
Sadie doesn't go upstairs either.
Oh, she doesn't go upstairs?
No. Well, she has like twice, but she does not like to.
There's who was it, Jim Shaw had the two dogs that died up there?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I heard about the dogs.
You see these scratch marks right here?
Yeah, and there's another door casing over there that's heavily scratched.
Right, yeah. So it's... Excellent idea having laundry upstairs.
Beautiful.
Right, there's actually a hole in the wall here.
Yeah, there was a
big old hole.
You know what? We used that to burn drywall.
Oh, did you? All right.
You got another entrance to the bath going there.
Yeah, that's new. Actually, this is new too. It used to have a closet there. We took the closet from the other bedroom. You can still see the marks on the floor.
Okay, yeah.
Right here. This was the closet to that room. We just did away with that.
Check this bathroom.
Wow.
This is great.
See, bathtub was over here.
That was here.
It was here. This wall was like here, and there was a closet out there.
Okay.
And then there was a double sink here.
Yeah. That's what.
Toilet was there.
Real nasty.
The tub was here
mean,
with
this
the
whole
window in the
house-
middle. And we cut the header in and put that into the old attic over that back room.
That's where the pots and pans were always found, was in the
that back room?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? We found the picture, and I wish we had it
Oh,
here.
yeah. It's a school picture.
It's in my mom's house. It's,
young girl? In the wall?
It was in the
like
wall.
19...
It was in the. It was 18.
Early 1900s, real early 1900s. And I found it in the wall.
If we want to get back
It's-
together,
I found a couple of things, and that's really about the most interesting thing I found.
Wow.
And it's a school. What was the school?
Beavis.
Beavis School.
Beavis School.
Yeah, and we looked, and there is a little town called Beavis.
But that's all.
And it's not far from here. It's over by Batavia. Beavis.
But it's really.
But it's really, you can see it too. It's really clear. It's in decent shape.
How old is the girl in the picture?
It looks like maybe
Like second grade?
fourth grade.
Yeah, I think second.
That could be either one of them. It could be either. Or Rachel. Either one of them.
Who's Margaret and Rachel?
Margaret Tracy's what the psychics have said is the girl that lived here. Steve Wolford is the occupant that said that Margaret Tracy, with the help of a psychic, was the young girl that haunted this house. And he's actually even seen her on the staircase, heard her crying at night. You know, that was his story. He heard her crying at night, checked his kids, and they were all asleep. And then he entered the hallway, and she was standing there holding a doll. And he followed her outside, and she disappeared at the graveyard.
That way.
Yeah.
Well, it was just
See, that's
recently
what we
my
heard.
son went over and found that graveyard.
We went looking for it.
Everybody on the street was like, Tyler, do you know this? Do you know that? And he's like, Mom,
And
it
we
doesn't
had,
scare me.
they
I'm
had
gonna
told
look.
us that she had been seen leaving the house and going to the graveyard and coming back.
Right. So, well, you got Rachel Tracy, that they say haunts the graveyard, but she never goes beyond the trees. She stays at the graveyard. That's another story. And you see her headstone. I think it's the only headstone that's really actually standing there now.
And when we did go over to the
When's the last time you've been over there?
summer, no,
Was it
summer.
Last summer?
When we went there, we got the mysterious light in the tree. We can't identify. We need to go back and see if we can get it again.
It's probably all overgrown back there now.
Oh, I don't even remember.
It used to be a window, but it was an opening when we got it. It was cut out.
No, this was the attic, right?
No, this was a hallway.
There's an
they said
attic
the
above
toys
here.
would move. The toys would move, so I ended up
She
taking
put a
some
little
toys
thing
over in that
over
cold
here.
room.
I don't remember making a step like this.
This is the new section.
I don't remember that big step up though. That's the attic I remember.
Yeah.
That part. Okay, yeah. And you're okay. You got the bath coming in here.
That's that tub.
Yes,
We recessed
yes.
it in there. We're actually putting this up here. We're taking all these out, and our ductwork's coming through there. It's all up in the attic, and our furnace is going to sit here. This door's getting moved over.
Okay.
And all this is coming out, and there'll be another bathroom in here too. This bedroom will have a half bathroom.
She said she experienced cold.
This room's always been
Oh, okay. I remember this. Yes.
Hold on, babe. You can't open that.
I can't.
Open that up.
Well, that's all right. Don't worry
I
about it.
remember this.
Yeah, so this is a staircase. This was Jim Shout's daughter's room, very shortly, briefly, and then she said that's when she saw a couple coming up, like a wedding couple carrying. The guy was carrying his bride and just walked into that room, and then she bolted down that way and she wouldn't ever come back in this side.
This seems to be strange to have the stairway come directly into a room, a bedroom.
Yeah.
It must be used for something else.
They was calling this a sewing room.
Okay.
I mean,
Talked to
that's the only thing.
and they called it a sewing room.
Okay.
So I put
And
toys
you
in
got
here
the-
because the kids kept saying, well, there's a little girl and she likes to play with toys.
Right? Yeah, that's right.
So I thought, well, okay.
Yeah.
And he's pretty into me. He can come up here and move stuff, and I'm thinking, yes, somebody's been. I said, oh, damn you.
That's good. Yeah.
No, back in the summertime, though, it was still a little weird up here.
I remember. Oh, yeah. Look at that. We were walking on the floor. I mean, the ground the last time we were here. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all like that.
What are you gonna make this room back in there?
This is going to be a living room.
Uh-huh.
And then an office over there. It's that same type of little room that's upstairs down here. Just
a computer in there. And
office. This is going to be a bathroom, and right where you're standing is a washer and dryer.
we have to have a washer and dryer on both floors. These boys. Man.
How many you have?
We have 4 kids. We have 3 boys and 1 daughter, but 2 live with their mother, and then 2 live with us. So
You're going to chase the ghost out of here.
Well, they like kids, I guess.
There's plenty of room for them. They can stay too.
yeah.
Well, you did a great job. I commend you on that. That's wonderful. A lot of new plumbing, wiring.
Everything.
Everything's new.
Everything.
I don't know. I guess the weirdest thing that happened to me was the very first weekend I came up here, I got sick as hell. I mean, I was just throwing up everywhere. But that was the only time that ever happened.
Really?
I don't like being upstairs by myself now. If I'm going to take a bath or a shower, Mike, you going to be in the house?
Mine,
yeah.
She's got it in her mind, you know. And,
Well. Upstairs and you go downstairs, okay? Oh, I got a full reading, hot reading, right this way, this way. Okay. All right. You go first.
Blood Raw each week as he presents the best, worst, and wildest horror and science fiction films ever made. It's weird, it's shocking, it's amazing. Join us every Sunday night at 8 p.m. for Lord Bloodraw's Nerve-Wracking Theater. It's the TV show that asks the question, who needs reality? Then check out Lord Bloodraw's Nerve-Wracking Theater every Sunday night at 8 p.m. on CATV.
If you enjoy comedy, if you enjoy sketch comedy, if you enjoy sketch comedy created by someone named Andy, if you enjoy sketch comedy created by someone named Andy Do, then this is the show for you. Probably. It's witty. It's sophisticated. It's urbane. Mr. Do is a genius. But that's not just my opinion, my grandmother agrees. So be sure to tune in, or you'll never see what you might not have seen if you've never seen it before, for the first time.
Well, that's a strange thing to say.
The Andy Dew Show on CA TV. That's expensive.
UEFA that allow La Liga to take a certain amount of action. For example, the match was stopped for 10 minutes. Why was that match not abandoned? The points given to Real Madrid, the fine that's been given to Valencia, they've actually been fined, but they were initially fined $49,000, and the section of the stadium that was abusing the player was supposed to be closed for 5 matches. But on appeal, that fine has now been reduced down to $29,000, and the section of the ground will only be closed for 3 matches.
Interesting.
Well, you begin to say and ask the question, if you're trying to really eradicate it and solve it, you can't then reduce the fine that's been imposed. And another thing that I will add is that Tevez, in his press conference on Thursday, said, if we are, this is just to give an example of the absurdity of his, he said, if we are given powers to enforce sanctions, which at the moment we can't, we can only report them, I can eradicate racism in stadiums within 6 months. I think when you listen to that and you put it into the context of the reality of what racism is in life, in society, you begin to think, well, I'm sorry, but what are you talking about? You know what I mean?
Ashish, I've got a very eager Michael Carlson, a sports journalist here, keen to interact with you.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, you're
yes.
absolutely right about Tebas. I mean, at one point he was saying there was no racism, and then said they were taking loads of steps to stop racism, so it didn't make much sense. But Valencia have Mukhtar Diaby on their team, who's black, and I noticed that when in the next match he refused to stand with his teammates behind the anti-racism sign. And has anyone, kind of pointed out that kind of contradiction to the Valencia fans?
Well, this is the thing that people like Mukhtar and other players are beginning to say, look, these gestures don't mean anything, because if we stand behind that and we're all like applauding and saying, yes, this is what we stand for, fighting against racism, then really we have to see actions. This is what Vinicius has been saying. The reason why he went on Twitter and social media to say that La Liga is racist, that Spanish society, Spanish football is racist, is because when you're a victim 11 times and you don't see any prosecutions from anywhere, and everyone is just diffusing the situation, well, La Liga say, we can't really do this, we have to report it to them, and the prosecutors then just kind of melt away into the distance, then you begin to feel isolated, and you begin to feel, well, I don't really have any support. And players like Mukhtar, what would they be feeling? I mean, Valencia have 2 or 3 high-profile black players, including Justin Kluivert, and one of them even suggested that, the fans weren't really saying mono, which is the Spanish word for monkey. They were saying tonto, the Spanish word for silly. Well, you know the history of what racism is in Spain, and you know what kind of fans Valencian fans are like. You know that not saying tonto. But the thing, Michael, that really worries me about this, and you as a sports journalist would acknowledge that, is that this kind of defense was coming from the media in the exact aftermath of the match. In that clip that we played of Ancelotti in the press conference, he was actually being challenged by some media saying, no, they weren't saying mono, they were saying tonto. And, the fans that I spoke to, the people that I spoke to in the streets, the lady that I spoke to actually said, to deal with racism, you have to acknowledge it. And I think they really are sort of blinded. They don't really see racism in this way. They see racism in Spain as something big. What does that mean? That means Hitler. That means slavery. That means apartheid. And I think they have to get to those levels of, oh my God, that's really bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And these become, well, this is football. Yeah, but Vinicius is this kind of a player who provokes, Yeah. And it's almost like, so you can then use racism to justify it. Well, when you start thinking that way, and that's sort of in your mentality, how can you deal with it?
I'm sure, Michael, you'd agree.
Absolutely. It happened in the 80s when I first came to Britain and went to a football match, and fans were throwing peanuts and bananas at Bob Hazel of Queen's Park Rangers, and they were Queen's Park Rangers fans.
And at least here in the UK, are you seeing a difference?
Oh, it's much different now. There was a lot of change. You know, Viv Anderson was the first black player to play for England in decades and decades.
What a wonderful chance today to share Dayton's links to Lincoln. And amazingly enough, there's another one that I just found out today I want to share with you, and then we'll get started with the different people who have come to either bring something that was used by Lincoln, or they have a family story that's connected to Lincoln. So we don't want to spend any more time on that. But with us today is a woman by the name of Winifred Dines. Would you stand up, please, for us? She's 101 years old, which is wonderful. But what is even more special is I'm going to read this little bit from a letter that she wrote to Sam Black, who's the young student sitting next to her. She said, "My grandfather was in the theater the night Lincoln was shot. He was a soldier stationed in the area, and that night attended Ford's Theater. As Booth jumped over the balcony draped in bunting, he lost the spur from his boot, which fell at my grandfather's feet. He picked it up and briefly held it in his hand and then gave it to an usher, feeling it had value as help in identifying the assailant." What a wonderful connection and link we have right here in Dayton. Thank you so much for coming today. That's a marvelous story. And as far as she did meet Lloyd Ostendorf, and his comment was that the original spur was never found, so we don't know what that usher did with it. And the one that's on the boot at the museum is not the original. So we know who had it temporarily, at least. We're going to sort of start at the beginning of Lincoln's life, because that seems like a logical place to begin. And about a year ago, I was standing in line near Dan Foley, waiting to go in to see The Last Truck premiere, and Lincoln came up. It always does, I guess, in my conversations with people. But he started telling me a marvelous story, and he's here today to share his family's connection to Lincoln. And I know that Dan needs no introduction because he's our county commissioner of great merit. He's running, I'll put that plug in. He's running this year. He doesn't have to campaign in this group, but he does have to leave before the afternoon is over. So we want him to begin with his story. So Dan?
Well, good afternoon. Thank you for letting me be here today, and Mary Beth, thank you for what you've done. You know, a year ago, the Lincoln Society really did a wonderful thing at the old courthouse. I had the privilege of being of bestowing some awards to young people who wrote some of the essays, and thank you for that, because it was really a great tribute to Lincoln, but it was also an opportunity for young folks to really to kind of latch on to that, so I appreciate it. So in my family, I mentioned this to Mary Beth last year, I feel a little bit like the person who didn't quite finish their homework assignment today. I just want to tell you that. But I'm also here to ask for a little help on this, possibly too. In my family, my father's side is Irish, my mother's side is Scottish, and we have a connection to the Lincoln family on my mother's side. On my father's side, we've done a lot of work. We've kind of been back to the ancestral home in Ireland. It's Wexford County, Ireland, a very small little community. There's a church, there's a pub. You know, of course, that's probably any town in Ireland, right? But on my mother's side, I can't say that I've actually kind of seen the physical connection to her family. So much the quick vignette I'm going to give you about our connection to Lincoln is really passed on through discussions. But this week, so I'll tell you what this is, what this connection is, and then maybe I will, when I finish the assignment, maybe I'll try to come back. And I noticed that in March, I noticed you're going to be doing some campaigning 1860 style, and unfortunately, the reason I have to leave early is because I have to do some campaigning 2010 style today. So, my mother's father, my mother's name is, her maiden name is Wallace, and she's Scottish. It's Scottish roots with some Russian influence as well. My mother grew up in Detroit. She moved to Dayton when she married my father, and she worked for the University of Dayton. They still live here. My mother's father was named Arthur Irving Wallace. He was born in Chicago. His mother was a woman named Molly Froke Wallace. Molly's sister, which would have been my mother's, let's see, that would have been my mother's grandmother's sister, was a woman named Augusta Hanks. Augusta was married to Hieronymus Hanks, and they lived in Decatur, Illinois. And Hieronymus, as it is told through the family discussions, was the third cousin of Nancy Hanks, who would have been Abraham Lincoln's mother. Now, you now know the sum total of my knowledge about our connection to the Lincoln family. I will tell you that furious emails were going back and forth on the Wallace side of the family this week, so that, and thankfully my aunt, who lives in Annapolis, Maryland, has some fairly complete documentation of our connection. And she's going to be coming to Dayton as it happens next week, and so I'm going to ask her, she's coming to Cincinnati, so I'm going to ask her to try to bring that, and I would love to copy that and share it with the society. I wear it as a badge of honor, and I've tried my best to also pass it on to my kids that we have some connection. And I think probably my job would be to understand that a little better. And maybe if I could share this written information with the society, maybe you could help me understand it too, because it would be an honor and it would be a very nice thing.
But now the second person I'd like to introduce is Nancy Diggs. So Nancy, if you would come up and share your family story. It sort of is on the early side of Lincoln's life again.
But it does begin at the beginning, because I am related to the midwife who delivered Abraham Lincoln, the granny woman. And my family was from LaRue County, Kentucky. So, you always wish you'd asked your grandparents more when they were alive. And